All right, so we're back, and UFC 261, wow, greatest card ever. Maybe a little bit of recency bias by me, but if I'm going back through the catalog, UFC 217 was great. Conor winning the double belts at Madison Square Garden at 205, along with Tyron Woodley and Wonderboy on that card. That was a really good one. But this one was special, man. The amount of spectacular finishes, legendary performances, controversy, gruesome, and I mean gruesome injuries. Everything on the card almost gave you a shock or wow factor. But today we're not necessarily going to talk about everything that happened prior to the main event. We're talking about Jorge Masvidal and Kamaru Usman. I'll go through a quick breakdown of things that happened beforehand. Chris Weidman bent his foot around Uriah Hall's leg like a car that crashes into a tree going 80 miles an hour and wraps around it. Thank God that he's okay. You had Thug Rose putting in the performance of a lifetime. I swear to God, every single time that girl comes out and she fights, something special happens on the night. She has this aura about her. But today, we are here to talk about the main event. Jorge Masvidal, Kamaru Usman. I've already wasted enough time in this intro. This fight was insane, but we're gonna talk about exactly how we got to the finish, why we got to the finish. Let's take a look at the breakdown. UFC 261, Kamaru Usman knocks out Jorge Masvidal. What happened? Why did it happen? Let's go. All right, so just for the record, I did say Kamaru Usman would win this fight, but I did say he'd win it by decision. I don't know of many people that saw Kamaru Usman knocking out Jorge Masvidal. One, for the fact that Jorge Masvidal hasn't been knocked out clean like that ever. He's been stopped before. TKO stoppage, referee kind of waves it off. He's been submitted before. But we're talking 50 fights. 50! And Jorge Masvidal has never been stopped like that. Out cold, completely laid back. So that in its own right should tell you how good Kamaru Usman is getting, but I don't think anyone saw it coming. The first round is a big indicator for why it actually happened. So as we start the fight, you see Kamaru Usman utilizing his jab, something I said we needed to see from him, not only to sting Jorge, right, and keep him in front of you, but to control a lot of the striking exchanges and control positioning in the cage, right? Something that Jorge Masvidal was looking to do a little better here was attack the legs and stay off the cage. He was doing a little bit of that in the first round, but really you saw Kamaru Usman just tagging with the jab and keeping the fight in front of him as he continued to be the aggressor forward. And like I said, you did see Jorge take a little bit of a different approach, which was not to switch stance as much. He was mostly standing orthodox and he was throwing low leg kicks at Kamaru. I'm assuming to try to slow down a bit of that wrestling, but the things that continued to show in that first round and why I said it eventually led to what happened in the second, as they continued to strike, especially before the takedown, you saw Jorge Masvidal with a lack of respect for the power, for the ability of Kamaru Usman on the feet. He said this in the presser. He said this in the lead up to this fight. Hell, he said it all since the last fight ended. Kamaru Usman doesn't have any power, that he's the softest hitter he's ever been in there against. Early on, he showed that he still thought that because every time there was an exchange, Jorge was allowing a big right hand to come over the top and either clip him or get close. And he wasn't either recognizing the right hand or he just didn't care about the power behind it, or he didn't think that Kamaru had the ability to land it flush and really do any damage to him. But there's one time in that first round where Kamaru actually hits a sequence that's almost identical to the ending of the fight. He throws out a slappy lead hook. He's trying to pull that backhand down, right? It's not meant to land. It's meant to get a reaction and pull the backhand. And then he throws the right hand. He doesn't throw it over the top. He throws it straight down the middle. This lands on Jorge and he gives the smiles like, that doesn't hurt me. You can't hurt me. And he's kind of just shoving it off like this is not anything I need to be concerned with. But as we head into the second round, I think we all know at this point, he should have been damn concerned with this shit. So as both fighters are sitting on the stools between rounds, this didn't mean a lot to me in the time when I was watching the fight, but Jorge gets a ton of water poured on his head, right? You know, he's in the middle of the round. He's trying to cool off a little bit. They're pouring water on his head. And I didn't think anything of it, right? There was nothing that you would see of that and be like, oh, that's important. It wasn't really important, but it's interesting as we lead up to the end, and I'm going to tell you why in a second. But we start the second round, and again, immediately we go right to the exchanges, and Kamaru's having some success with his jab once again. He was feigning Jorge with the takedowns. He was stepping in and feigning, and Jorge was biting on a lot of it. And you saw it. He wanted to throw the check hook, right? Every time he got feinted, he was ready to throw the check lead hook. And this was his demise because, again, Trevor Whitman and whatever they're doing up in Denver, fair play to them. They have two champions and they are developing some of the best fighters on the planet that not only take advantage of tendencies, but adjust well as the rounds go on. Trevor Whitman tells Kamaru Usman he is a champion because of his jab. And there couldn't be a more true statement because Kamaru Usman is popping that jab all first round. And as we get into that second and the finishing sequence, Kamaru Usman, instead of popping that jab, because Jorge's seen that how many times now where he's coming down the middle with that jab, big overhand over the top, instead, he elects for the lead left hook. Jorge again wants to throw his check left hook out, thinking it's a jab coming to him. He throws his check left hook, and the right hand from Kamaru Usman straight down the pipe. He's not throwing to hit Jorge in the chin. He is punching through him. And this is where my water comment comes in, because he blasts Jorge on the chin and water goes flying through the air like you've been at Coachella for 3 days. You're sweating all crazy, dancing, and you ain't showered since you got there. Jorge Masvidal gets absolutely flatlined. And if I'm not making it clear enough about how ridiculously insane this knockout was and how I just could not believe it happened in that moment, well, why don't we just ask W.A.D.E from Saturday night? Because I had a pretty decent reaction. You guys take a look. Left hook from Kamaru and the jab. Oh! Oh my God! Jorge Masvidal gets knocked out cold! Out cold! Oh my God! And I'll say this, for everyone that calls Kamaru Usman boring or calls him Kamaru Snoozman, you're goddamn right his name is Snoozman, because he put Street Jesus to sleep. We should be calling him Dr. Snoozman, because he is curing sleep apnea with just one shot. You don't need to take a pill. You don't need a breathing machine. Just call up Dr. Snoozman and he'll put that right hand on you. And like I said, it wasn't just a lack of respect from Jorge. It was a different game plan from Team Usman, right? Jorge even said, I expected a lot more wrestling, but Team Usman was very aggressive in the striking from the beginning. They came out and established the jab early. Kamaru was a little wild in the first round, but he got it under control, and that finishing combo was just pure magistry. And so we saw one of the greatest performances in a title fight, one of the greatest of Kamaru Usman's career as he continues to move toward GOAT status. So if you look at what's next for Kamaru Usman, of course, it's Colby Covington, and that fight was one of the greatest of all time, in my opinion, their first fight. The back and forth they had, really no one wrestled, just a straight kickboxing match, and it was super entertaining, and both guys got to show a little bit of the skill that maybe people didn't think they had. But even now, the way that Kamaru Usman is continuing to elevate himself through his ability to learn and perfect his striking along with his wrestling. I'm not making picks right now, but I do think that's the next fight, and it's a hell of a fight. But I don't know if Kamaru Usman drops that belt anytime soon. So like I said, it was an insane card, maybe one of the best of all time. We had fans back in the arena. I will say one thing about the fans, everybody yelling fuck Jake Paul in the middle of one of the best main cards we've had in UFC history, maybe ever. You guys are a bunch of fucking idiots. Imagine for a second being a part of the MMA community. We haven't seen live fights in over a year. Imagine being so stupid that you are on live TV. UFC fights are actively going on in front of you. Anthony Smith, Jimmy Crute, and they did this in the Chris Weidman fight while he's down with a snapped ankle on the ground. And you guys are yelling, fuck Jake Paul. Is that what you paid money to come and do? Is that what you paid money as a fan to come and do? To yell, fuck Jake Paul? Another fan that's there to watch the event, has nothing to do with the event, isn't fighting. The people that are fighting that you supposedly paid to see are in the actual octagon fighting, and all you guys are preoccupied with this guy. This is why MMA continues to lose to Jake Paul. You guys are all a bunch of horses walking up to a fence line effectively. Jake Paul holds his hand out with sugar cubes, and you eat out of the palm of it. That's you guys. It includes DC as well, him doing what he did on the time of the UFC with thousands of people in an arena. It just gives the guy more of what he wants, which is attention and this narrative of Jake Paul versus MMA. You beat Jake Paul by starving him of all his attention. That's how you win. But the MMA community continues to discredit Jake and say, listen, oh, you just knocked out Ben Askren. He's not a real fighter. But then when he shows up to a real fighting event, instead of focusing on the real fights, you yell, fuck Jake Paul. You guys are a bunch of morons. I won't say any more on it in this video. If you guys want a separate video on it, let me know. But anyway, guys, yes, that's the breakdown. Congratulations to Kamaru. Congratulations to Valentina. Congratulations to Thug Rose. Thug Rose. We got social gloves. Logan Paul, Floyd Mayweather. We're doing breakdowns for all that. We got Conor and Dustin Poirier coming up as well. June and July are going to be stacked, and I cannot wait to go fight by fight, breakdown by breakdown with you guys. But as we wrap up, the question remains, how good is Kamaru Usman, and has he even hit his ceiling yet? And I guess the biggest question that we still haven't answered is, can anyone stop this man? I guess we'll find out.